Hey everybody, welcome back to Cooking with Grandmommy. You know what? It's apple season. We have been cooking so many fresh foods. We started with strawberries. We worked on different ways to have corn. We worked on yummy fresh peaches. And now it's apple season. So there's so many things you can do with apples, and we're going to be working on some of those yummy things for the next few weeks now that apples are in. So remember, here at Grandmommy's house, food is all about love and everybody is welcome. So let's get started on today's apple recipe. For today's recipe, simple, you only need two things, apples and sugar. So for making applesauce, my favorite apple is McIntosh because they're soft and they cook up pretty quickly. I like my applesauce to be chunky, but you can cook it until it's completely smooth. Let's say you wanted to use this for baby food, or maybe you just like your applesauce smooth instead of having chunks of apples in it. Either way, it will work. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Now, there are so many types of apples coming out of the orchards right now, the early apples. So McIntosh is one of those. There's Fuji, there's Paula Reds, there's Golden Delicious. So check out the Monroe orchards. I like Keeney Miller down in LaSalle, and start picking up some good fresh apples. So for today's recipe, it's going to take 8 medium McIntosh apples. I am going to peel them on my fun little toy here, my apple peeler. So I put the apple on, turn my handle around, and this cool little gadget is going to just take the peeling right off. I got stuck here, so I pull my peeling out, reset the blade, and just keep going. Because sometimes apples have a little rough spot in there and they'll throw off the peeler. Throw my peelings away here in the trash. Pull my apple off. This one doesn't get the bottom real well, so I just take a little knife and I cut off that excess peel on the bottom. By the way, this is one of my favorite little knives. Isn't that cute? It's called a bird's beak because of the way it's shaped, but it's very handy. So I've got the peeling off there. I'm going to set the apple on my cutting board, and this is an apple slicer. You can get these that only have 8 slices, and that's fine for applesauce. I use this 16 slicer because later on another episode I'm going to show you how to put apples in the freezer for making apple pies, and this is a good slice width for making apple pies. So I'm going to take this, and I have it on a cutting board so things won't slip around, and I'm going to put all my weight into it, cut my apple into slices, and now I'm going to take my slices and put them into my pan here. This is the pan that we're going to cook our applesauce in. Alright, one more slice, let's throw him in. Alright, back to our toys. See, cooking can be fun. Here we go. Take the peeling off. That one went nice and smooth. Got a little peeling left on the bottom. Going to cut that off. Take my slicer. Pull out the core. Throw my apples in. Sometimes there's a little bit of a peeling here and there on it, and you can throw them in. It doesn't hurt anything. It'll just cook right up. I already had 5 apples peeled when we started. This recipe that I'm giving you today will be for 8 apples. Oh, there we go. We got stuck, so you pull your peeling off. Make sure your blade is still clear and start right where you left off. Throw my peeling away. I just love having a little trash can right here. It's like a pull-out drawer. It makes everything so convenient. Peel off the bottom leftover skin. Slice it up. Alright, turning my heat on to medium. Get these apples cooking. McIntosh, as I said earlier, is a soft apple, so it cooks up pretty quickly. You do not need to add water, juice, no liquid to this. The apples are going to cook up and create their own juice. So it takes about 20 minutes for these to cook down completely, and right now they're starting to get soft and break down. I have my heat on medium, and once they begin to cook up, it will create liquid and juice in your pan. So I gave it a couple stirs, and now I'm going to let that continue to cook on medium. While that's happening, let me tell you about this great little apple peeler that I have. I have had these for several years. The first one, my older sister Mary bought me one off of one of the home shopping networks. And I mean, it was just the ticket, because when you're doing a bushel of apples, this takes a lot of the work out of it. Plus, here's a benefit. You know, guys like to play with things, you know, they like gadgets, and so do kids. So now, when I do apples, my husband runs the peeler for me. So that takes half the work out of it. I do this part in the cooking, and he does the peeling for me. But anyway, this comes in a box, looks like this. It's called Starfrit. And I bought mine at, my second one, at the Catnick's Orchard over in Tecumseh. But online, you can find it at Walmart. So it comes with extra blades. These little blades on the end here come out. When you store it in your box, you take your handle off. It makes it easier to clean up also. There is a cover for this, safety purposes. You get extra blades. And this blade, when you put it away in the box, will have a cover on it. So they have done a really good job of making a nice, light, useful tool here. So I strongly recommend picking one up, even if you just like peeling apples for your kids to eat. This makes it kind of quick and easy to get done. So this is a separate item. You can pick these up at a lot of kitchen stores, even at department stores. I don't know how many have the 16 slice, but if you're cooking applesauce or making, just slicing up apples for kids to eat, an 8 could be all right. But I think you can find those, maybe even check for it somewhere online for the 16 slice. Giving these another stir. They're cooking up really nice. I'm going to go ahead and put my sugar in now. And for 8 apples, I'm putting in 1/4 cup of sugar. This is not going to be real sweet, just mildly sweet, but people can add a little sugar when they eat it, or I like to keep a little shaker filled with cinnamon sugar. You know, like fill up your container with sugar and add, you know, teaspoon or 2 of cinnamon and shake it up together. And then when you serve the applesauce, if they want to add those flavorings in, they can. This kind of cooked apple, I'm telling you, tastes great with a hot biscuit. It tastes good with as a side dish for pork. It is good with a pancake or a waffle, and a really couple of old-fashioned things it's really good with. You can make a fried pie out of this. Yes, fried pies, so good. And then there's an old-fashioned cake called a stack cake, and you bake these big 9-inch layers, and it's kind of a sweetened biscuit dough with some spices in it. And then you can put applesauce in between those layers, or you can use dried apples. That's what I prefer, but applesauce works. You stack it up and cover it for 24 hours, and those sweet biscuit layers soak up the apple. And that is so good. Not a lot of people make those anymore, but they are delicious. All right, letting this continue to cook. It's looking really good. You know, when I think about apples, you know, I love to think about the Lord all the time. He is so wonderful. He is so mighty, so awesome. I could not live for 1 second without him. So when I start working on apples, I think, what does he have to say about apples? You know, he has a lot to say about many things, and it's all in his word, in the Bible. And there's a couple of scriptures in there that talks about the apple of his eye and the apple of our eye. The apple of the eye refers to something that is very cherished and precious, and that's what it's referring to. So there's a couple scriptures that I want to share with you, one from Proverbs and one from Zechariah. And I'll be doing a little post later that will expand on that for you and let you know what he has to say about that. So he created these beautiful apples, and I appreciate him and I thank him for doing that. He does so many things for our pleasure, just to make our lives enjoyable and make them good, because that's how much he loves us. So hopefully you want to be the apple of his eye too, and I'll share that with you on another post. Teaser. All right, so our apples are cooking up. Almost finished here. You know how I like talking about cooking for family, being with family, or adopting people and making a family, but gathering together around food? Well, Monday night here at my house, I invited cousins. My mother had 5 sisters, 6 girls, and I invited their children, some of their grandchildren, depending on who was around and available, to come to a cousin dinner. And we had 20 people, and all 6 of her sisters were represented here. And it was really fun. Everyone enjoyed visiting and seeing others that they hadn't seen in a long time. I guess it was kind of like a mini reunion. And that's why food is all about love, and everybody's welcome. Everyone left feeling so good and feeling like reconnected, and we got to talk about childhood memories, things about the aunts that maybe their kids didn't know but we knew, or something that had happened between them and us. So it was a great night. I encourage you to do those things. I did all the cooking this time. I made everybody wash their own dishes though. But next time we are going to have everybody bring something to pass, because we're going to do it again and invite a few more people to come with us. Maybe a few of the next generation this time. So keep working on those kind of things. It adds to your life. It adds to your days. It just expands your soul and your heart. And it's a very loving thing to do. And that grows us so much as humans. Okay, I'm turning off my burner. This applesauce is looking good. Now remember, I like mine chunky, so I leave some pieces of apples in here. I don't like to cook it up totally until it's just the smooth applesauce. I like chunks of apples in here. So let me put some in the bowl here and show you how it looks. Smells good too. It's a smell of fall, right? One of our favorite seasons. All right, so here we go. So here's how it looks. You can see that there are some apple chunks in there, and then some of the apples have completely cooked up. At this point in time, once it cools, you could serve it. You could go ahead after it cools and put it in Ziploc freezer bags. By the way, I put up a bushel each year, so 1 bushel of apples. This recipe is 8 apples and a 1/4 cup of sugar, but an entire bushel of apples will make about 15 quarts if you're calculating how much you'd like to put in your freezer. So, chunky applesauce made with McIntosh apples and sugar. It's just the beginning. We're going to be doing some more yummy apple recipes in the days ahead. Thanks for joining me today. Remember, at Grandmommy's house, food is all about love, and everybody is welcome. See you next time.